Hey everybody, I'm Tracy.
And I'm Jay, and we want to welcome you to week 4 of our Advent series, Restoring the Weary Soul. Just thank you so much for going on this journey with us for the last few weeks. We're really grateful.
Yep.
It's been so cool just to talk to people about what they're learning and then hear from some of you what's going on and how it's going in your groups. We don't have any pictures to share this week, unfortunately. But so if you do happen to be watching this with your group right now, just press pause and take a selfie. And send it to us because it does encourage us. Or just send us a text later and let us know, what you got out of this whole series. We would really actually love to hear that and hear how you're doing. This coming weekend, obviously this is Christmas weekend, and so we know a lot of people are going to be meeting in different ways at different times. Your group may not be meeting at all. You may be having a Christmas Eve service somewhere. But so whatever you are doing, we hope that you're really taking the time to slow down and celebrate the coming of Jesus and what this really means, and that in all of the hustle and the bustle of the season, that that's not overtaking you so that you're not able to really focus on Jesus and how awesome he is. And so today we just want to be able to remind you that you're not alone and remind you of God's presence really being with you.
Amen. And before we get into our final lesson for this Advent season, let's go back and review what we've done so far. So week 1, we started with Jesus is the light of the world.
Yep.
Talked about capturing those glimmers and writing them down so that you can return to those glimmers of joy whenever, those sightings of Jesus when he shows up.
Right.
Then week 2, we talked about Jesus being Emmanuel, God with us, and we practiced noticing his presence in the things that we were doing each day. Mm-hmm. And then last week we talked about Jesus being our wonderful counselor, and we did that practice of listening to his voice by journaling something that we were grateful for, an instance where we saw him show up, and then listening to his response, journaling his response back to us.
I like that.
It was.
That was
it
really
was
cool.
Really good. Actually, in our group, I felt like it was really profound. But and this week we're going to talk about Jesus being the Prince of Peace.
Right. That passage in Isaiah 9 where it talks about Jesus as wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. And just what beautiful titles, to meditate on and to consider. When we think about Jesus, Jesus came to establish a new kingdom. He came and announced a new way of living. And he brought about this, this good news, this gospel that a new kingdom was coming, and that we all get to be a part of it. And he was like, man, you've got to change the way that you're thinking and believe that there is a new way to live.
Right.
And that's that repent and believe the good news, And so he's ushering us into this new way of living and this new way of being, which is so great. But there were prophecies about that. Even hundreds of years before Jesus came, there were prophecies about what this would look like. And so there were images that were embedded in the Jewish consciousness in the way that they were anticipating the coming of the Messiah and what that was going to look like. Mm-hmm. And Isaiah has so many beautiful moments where he's talking about what this new kingdom that the Messiah was going to bring about would look like. And we just want to take a little bit of time today and look in Isaiah chapter 11 at this passage, verses 1 through 10, where he is talking about the coming Messiah and what that new kingdom would look like. So in verse 1, a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of might, the spirit of the knowledge and fear of the Lord, and he will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes or decide by what he hears with his ears, but with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear, their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the cobra's den, and the young child will put his hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. In that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples. The nations will rally to him, and his resting place will be glorious. So many beautiful images in there, and so many things that I want to talk about. But what I want us to kind of focus on and see is that this is not something that is going to happen at the second coming of Jesus when he returns. This is what Jesus came to establish, and it is available now, and it is here now. Even when you think about the early church, you see pictures of them understanding there is a new way to live,
right.
And the people who were my enemies before are no longer my enemies.
Right.
And in the kingdom, it's not a sense of us versus them. It is just us, all of us
right.
together with God and under the beautiful banner that Jesus came to bring. And there's all these images, the contrast between the predator and the prey. But all of that is going to be taken away. There's not going to be that kind of competitive fighting or someone trying to kill someone else. No, everyone is going to coexist together. And that's the vision that God had. That is the kingdom that Jesus came to establish. We can even view our own lives now. I mean, I go through life now. I'm struggling to pray for my enemies, because I view people, sometimes in that way, and Jesus taught us that, like, you got to pray for your enemies, but it's through that praying that my enemies will be blessed, that I get to experience what this idea, this vision of the kingdom is really supposed to be like. All of us get to grow to be more and more like Jesus as we follow him, more loving, more forgiving, more merciful, more compassionate. But we learn it through being in community with one another. You learn to be those things, more loving, more compassionate, by existing in community with the people around you all the time.
That are not loving,
right.
And maybe are not treating you with compassion.
Right.
This is difficult work. This
yes.
is not easy work. I think it makes me think about when Isaiah also prophesied about John the Baptist, when he would come and was just sort of outlining some of the things that he would do. And one of the things that has always caught my eye from this passage is when it says that he will come to turn the hearts of the parents to their children.
Mm-hmm.
And just taking that little phrase out. So there was a necessity back, 2,700 years ago, for the fathers to be turned back to their children, because there's just, for as long as there have been people, father and son, if we go back to the garden, just outside the garden, we see that there has always been a difficulty in familial relationships.
Yeah. It's
just difficult to get along. It's hard to do that hard work of repenting, forgiving, giving the benefit of the doubt, showing grace and mercy and all of that, even to your own blood relatives.
Right.
And this time of year really brings that to the forefront.
Yeah.
And I know that this can be a really painful time of year. It is a painful time of year for me, actually. And every religious organization that I'm a part of, every little group that I'm a part of, I have gotten an email from them this week or last week or in the week before of how to go through the holidays with your grief. With your sorrows, with the hard things, because with this beautiful time comes these sharp edges.
Right.
There can be a distance that we feel from a child, and maybe there's an estrangement, maybe there's parents that are not getting along, maybe there are siblings that are not getting along, and coming together for the Christmas season heightens all of those things.
Yeah.
Not to mention that most Americans keep themselves so busy throughout the year that if you slow down just the tiniest bit, then all of a sudden you have to acknowledge the relationships that are in pain at the moment.
Yeah.
We can look around and be grateful for all that is good going on, and for what is not yet.
Right.
All those relationships that are not yet repaired or not yet redeemed. Christ becomes our peace. He is the Prince of Peace.
Right. It's thinking about that letter that Paul wrote to the Ephesians, and he's trying to set up this, you know, this idea and reminding them that the picture of the church is this picture of people who have been in, you know, out of relationship, you know, that were not connected, but now they get to come together in one church. In Ephesians 2, he says, but now in Christ Jesus, you who once were far away have been brought near by the blood of Christ. For he himself is our peace, who has made the two groups one and has destroyed the barrier and the dividing wall of hostility. And I love that verse. You know, I hold on to it so much because I'm like, I want that. I want to see that. You know, because I can feel that so many times, like the pull of relationships that aren't redeemed at the moment, or the ones that are estranged, or where there's some disconnect. And I want this, where that hostility is gone, where it has been destroyed. And it's Jesus that does that. Right. You know, he is the peace. He is the peacemaker. And it's because of him that we have this hope of being able to exist where all of this pain is gone. You know, but where, you know, many of us right now are still carrying some of that, but trying to grow through that and work through that. But it's only through looking to Jesus that we have that hope of being able to understand all of that. He himself is our peace. So we just want to encourage you to be able to turn to him, as, you know, if you're in that position, if you're in that situation where there are maybe some rough spots or some rough relationships, then bring those to Jesus and come to him and let him, as the peacemaker, you know, bring you towards a place where you feel like, okay, I think I can hold on to that hope that all of this is going to work out, and I can start to create that now with the relationships that are around me. I can bring that into it now.
Yeah, I would say also, I just wanted to add one thing about, you know, grab somebody else. If you are in this position where you have a heartache in this season, you know, we don't wear these things out. People can't see them. But if you have a heartache inside, grab a friend that you know will be with you in it. Make sure that you have a partner in this. You know, I belong to this group, and I was there on Thursday. And, you know, every group that I'm in is all about getting through the holiday season. So that we were talking about painful things for the holiday. And I shared something that was a pain in my heart. And, you know, within, like, you know, the next minute I got 10 private messages saying, oh my gosh, I'm going through the same thing. And I can't tell you what it did for my heart, just to not feel alone. You know, it didn't have to be a big, long conversation. It's just knowing other people are in that with me. So that's something that you can do, is just make sure somebody else have a sort of a human lifeline.
Right.
But for tonight, if you happen to be in your group, some people are lucky they have their group this weekend.
Yeah.
So if you happen to be in your group tonight, we thought maybe a good practice for us tonight would be just to go around and share maybe something that God has brought to you this season. You know, something that you've learned, something that's dawned on you, something that you've gained from going through this Advent season together, and just share those things to end out our time together.
Yeah, that's good. And if you happen to be near South Orange County, we are having people over for just a time of celebration and worship and just connection on the 23rd, Saturday night the 23rd, 5 o'clock at our house. And any of you that are watching this are more than welcome to come. So just send us a text or an email. Let us know that you want to come, and we would love that. That would be super fun. That's going to be Saturday night at our house. And also, as we go into the new year, you know, we've been praying about, like, okay, what is our ministry life going to look like? You know, because we resigned from our full-time position back in August, and now we've been praying for the last 4 months, like, God, where do you want us to go? How do you want us to serve? What do you want this to look like? And we feel like God has led us to some answers about what that's going to look like for us in the new year, and we're really, really excited about it. So next week, we're going to be putting out a video that will kind of let you know about what our new ministry life is going to look like. And it's not going to be for everybody, but there's some people who are going to really love it and want to jump on. And so we're excited about that, but we'll let you know more about that next week. For now, have a great, wonderful, peaceful, Merry Christmas. Enjoy the time celebrating Jesus. Enjoy the time with the people and the loved ones around you. And we just want to thank you again for going through this season with us. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.